PR Connections Radio presents.
Hey, welcome to the Crypto and Cash podcast with Uncle Dan Everett and the famous Bret Jenny, the ultimate expert in crypto that'll take you from one place to the other. You know what? If there's anybody better in crypto and relating to real estate, I haven't met him. Bret is my guy. I'm just the old guy moderating a bit, trying to help all us older generations try to help understand crypto. And that's what we do. We keep our show really to the point. We make it understandable, but we give you up-to-date current stuff that's going on that you're probably not hearing anywhere else, because if you are depending on the media to get your information about crypto, you are listening to the wrong people, let me tell you, because this is pretty much our lives, and we're here to help you. So, Bret, say hello to everyone, and let's rock and roll.
What's going on, everyone? So let me recurse everything we're saying this, which is you may be older generation, and I'm speaking for the younger generation, but I'm still 47, so I'm by no means speaking for what do they call it? Alpha X now or something's like the newest generation is something alpha generation, or that's beyond millennials. I don't know, man. So obviously I'm showing my age right now by saying this as well. So, but we cover good age brackets, right? You're kind of 60 and above age bracket, and I'm probably anywhere between probably 35 to 40 to 60. And they're either way, both generations. It behooves us to know about blockchain and crypto and kind of where the world's going with it. And, you know, both your generation and my generation alone, we didn't grow up with blockchain and crypto. And it wasn't even until I was in college that they even had email. And when I first met my wife, I remember meeting my wife in college and we're discussing emails. And I said to her, I said, why the hell would anybody email somebody? Like, why wouldn't you just pick up the phone and call them? Like, I didn't understand why you would take a time-consuming thing like typing, which wasn't like there was no texting, there was no email, so typing wasn't. It was just extra work, and it was kind of like, well, why would you communicate with somebody that way instead of just pick up the phone and call them and tell them what you wanted? But I didn't get it, right? I didn't understand the whole point of. Now communication is an entirely different level now, because it can be midnight and you can communicate, and then you can respond back when you want, and everything's in writing now with the communication, which can be held up or not held up in court, and all these different things that email facilitates as far as getting business done and just living life in general now and communicating. It's amazing. So yeah, I kind of come from a little older generation as well, but regardless, we're on the same trip here trying to educate and inform people. So how was your week? I know you've been pretty busy with your
really
with one of your businesses.
And you know what's really funny when you say that, Bret? I remember when I was in the mortgage business, right, which I had been in for a total of almost 30 years, 28 years. And man, when they came out with the fax machine, I thought that was the greatest invention. I thought it was the greatest invention ever invented, ever.
I remember your fax machines being like, how do they do that? I don't understand how this information on the sheet can just show up exactly the same across the country. Like, how do they do that?
I was like, hey, man, I used to remember those rolls? You have to have those rolls, man. You buy them at the store.
Nope.
Oh, my God.
It's crazy. And I mean, look how far we've advanced. So I was doing some research this past week. And so think about this. If this will kind of put things in perspective for you. For technology, we literally went from horse and buggy to landing on the moon within 65 years.
Wow. I never thought of that in that light. My God, really?
I mean, granted, cars were starting to come around 65 years before it landed on the moon, but it by any means was not the prominent mode of transportation. So we go from horse and buggy to literally on the moon within 65 years.
That's crazy. My God.
That's how fast things can advance once we kind of figure out the basis of a new form of something. And to kind of get into blockchain and crypto, once we were able to figure, like, the idea of facilitating value and money without having to be dependent on a government or a central figure and be free of that is not a new idea, right? It's been around for a long time. There's been people who have tried it in the past, I'm sure, but we've never had the technology in place at the same time for that. And so now you've got a whole new fundamental foundation of the way that you're facilitating and transferring value around the world without a middleman and instantly. And this is the new form. And that's why you're starting to see things go from here to here rather quickly, you know?
Yeah, so quickly. You know, it's funny. I saw a post on Facebook about African-American inventors you never heard of. Like, we're talking about this issue right now, or this, how it's come. You know, the gentleman was an African-American inventor that invented the 3 stoplight, the red, yellow, green. Well, he actually, and the reason he came up with it is because when they had first come out with, they were still doing horse and buggy and cars at the time. And he was in he actually was one of the first African Americans to own a car in the city of Cleveland. And he pulled up to a stop sign and he saw a car and a buggy, a horse-drawn buggy and a car come up to an intersection and crash, right? And because there was nothing, there was nothing saying who goes and who stops. No, there was nothing. So it just, it said the idea hit in, and he went up and he kind of invented how it was the stop. It was like, it wasn't like the lights, but it was a stop, proceed, and green, right? And he ended up selling his patent to the major auto, I forget the name of the company, but it's a major company that you would recognize, back in like 1913 or something like that. Wow. For $40,000. You know how much money that was back then? Oh my God.
Yeah, man, like 40 grand. I'm like, dude, 40 grand back then was
right. God. So the point of that is, man, it's just things have come so far, and it seems like in the last 5 years, it just goes faster and faster, man. It's just it's amazing, man. All the things that I'm learning. I mean, I'm a continual learner. Not that I understand everything, but I get the drift. I understand the basics.
Let's look at even education.
Yeah.
Like, even when you were younger, and even in my generation, it was you go to school to go to a good college, so that you got to go to college to get that job and blah blah blah, and that's where you learn what. And at the end of the day, like, education has switched 360 compared to when, like, think about when you're in school. If you were to tell people, man, when you're 18, hey, dude, 40 years, 50 years from now, like, schools are going to be set up like this, and people are going to be saying this, and these ideas are going to get put out the door, and like, you have been like, no way. Like, there's just no way. Like, not that people haven't always been kind of crazy enough to come up with different ideas, but people haven't gone along with it.
Man, right? they probably would have put you in
right?
Hey Brett, they probably would have put you in an insane asylum.
That's what I'm saying. So either way, I think it's a completely different shift, where not even if you're going to talk about different policies enacted this day and age, that's how I don't want to get political, but let's just talk about just the shift in being able to learn and educate yourself at home in front of your computer on just YouTube. Like, I tell people, like, all the advancements that I'm making right now in the blockchain Web3 space, and everything that I'm going to be advancing with and doing, like, for a career in it, was all learned from YouTube University.
Wow.
I mean, it was literally 2017. I buy crypto for the first time, and I just, anytime that I stick money into anything, it forces me to pay attention to it, right? That's just how I work. Even if I have $5 in something, it forces me to pay attention to it. And I was absolutely fascinated by crypto and blockchain and how it worked. And that's what really drew me in to wanting to learn. So obviously you're not going to want to go and stick in time to educate or something you don't have much of a passion in, or something you're not. But what I'm saying is you can find something in this day and age that is your passion, that you have interest in, that you can get all the education in the world of what in the past you would have to go to maybe an Ivy League school. I mean, even with that, I told you before in the past how I first learned about blockchain was on YouTube, and it was a course taught at MIT. I mean, obviously, when I got done with the course, I wasn't going to be able to get a grade for it and like use it to get a job, but it didn't matter. I was getting the education of an MIT course for free.
Right.
So
wow.
With that being said, as long as you can do things that you would normally do to grow a business, whether it's network or advertise or whatever it is, you know, you can do that and get the education and then the fundamentals of what you need to do to get that started and make money on from YouTube. Literally,
that's right.
You know?
That's right. Absolutely, man. Because I mean, it's just like, don't even talk about AI. Same thing. My God. I just got off, and that's why I was, a little behind. I was trying to improve on a not a bio, but it was like a development of like a PowerPoint presentation that's going to be used in the event that we're going to. And it just wasn't catching my attention, and I put it in there and did it a couple of times. Man, as soon as you called me, I just had said, yeah, I got it. And then the phone rang. So I get it.
Tell you what, so I actually was hanging out with Majid yesterday.
Okay.
And, we were talking, and here's the thing. People don't understand. So Majid basically said this: here's what the new world is going to be. And it's unbelievable what I'm telling you, it's going to be. So you have the biggest companies in the world right now. Like, let's take, for example, Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Look how much money Amazon is worth, right?
Yeah.
Amazon is really just regional. By that, I mean Amazon, China has their own Amazon. It's called Alibaba.
Yeah, absolutely.
India has their own Amazon. So Amazon, as big as it is, Alibaba, as big as it is, are only regional.
That's true.
Web3 companies are going to be like an Amazon, but we're not talking regional now, man. We're talking the entire world. So you have companies like Amazon that are worth billions. It's going to be no problem for the future ones to be worth trillions, because you're no longer just a regional. You're going to be literally the entire world. And Amazon, Majid, this is coming from Majid's mouth.
He knows.
And Majid is working with all the infrastructures.
Right.
Not the companies, but the infrastructures of Web3. They're laying things together. And Majid's own words, you take a company like Amazon that has 10,000 employees. Now, obviously, they subcontract out a lot, but their core employees are 10,000 people. In the future, you'll be able to run a company like that with 3 people.
What?
Your CEO, your CFO, and your prompt engineer for your AI. Your prompt engineer for your AI is like your new coder. So you don't even need to know how to code anymore. You just need to go how to prompt. So you go to ChatGPT, I'm telling you, it's a whole skill set itself. You got to know how to ask it properly and build, and then build on what it's learning from you to build it even more. Because you're directing it. You're literally telling it what to do, whether it's level 1 or level 10. It depends on what you tell it to do. So now, if you say like Amazon, you're like, well, how can you have all the warehouses and all? Now, don't get me wrong, you're still going to have that physical labor, but that can all be contracted out.
Right.
The actual company that's being run can be run by 3 people, or will be able to be run by 3 people, because the chat prompt engineer will be able to outsource everything else and be able to have it automatically done with the AI that it can program in there.
That's what's that term? That's sick. That's crazy. My God.
People don't even know. 5 to 7 years from now, people don't even know. And it's going to happen where it's just like it just becomes part of our lives. Like remember the iPhone came out in 2007? We're like, holy cow, this is amazing. And now the new iPhone comes out, we're like, yeah. So, I mean, what have you done for me lately, iPhone?
Right. That's
right?
crazy.
I mean, it's like we're so used to running our life on it that there's nothing really that iPhone does that blows us away.
Right.
And that was only 15, 16 years ago.
Right. Oh my God.
So,
Wow. I'll tell you, man, the world we live in. Let's talk about what's going on in the crypto world, man. Sorry about that, audience.
We were talking before with a few other my friends about tokenizing real world assets. So you're talking about tokenizing real world assets if people want to know what that means, right? So essentially, the tokenization of real world assets is by 2030 predicted to be a $16 trillion market. And what that means is tokenizing a real world asset refers to the process of placing the ownership of tangible assets, including equities, bonds, precious metals, investments, funds, real estate mortgages, all these other things, and you put those on the blockchain ledgers and the digital assets. By doing that, you're basically able to enable and facilitate a market with all those assets and transferring them 24/7. And that's essentially what it does.
Isn't that like NFTs? Isn't that what they're doing with NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, one form of them could be an NFT, correct? Yes, but that's basically what you're doing is you're taking the digital ownership rights of it and you're packaging it in, digitally onto the blockchain. So because it's on the blockchain, you're able to facilitate and transfer the value without the need of a middleman, right? So, for example, a home equity line of credit, there's a company right now that allows you to do a HELOC loan, but it's all done on the DeFi app. So normally, if you want to take out a HELOC loan, you got to go to your lender, you got to go through the paperwork, you got to do all this stuff. What you're doing essentially is the process is still exactly the same. The qualifications that you need to qualify for it are still the same and all these things. But with a regular HELOC loan to a regular lender, you're waiting on people. You're waiting on people and you're waiting on systems and people to facilitate those systems for that to happen, for the end goal to happen. And that can take, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. While this, if you do it through the DeFi app, you can literally draw out your home equity in a matter of seconds because you're not waiting on people. You're not waiting on Monday to come back around. So Joe gets back to the office at 8 and then gets to your file at 10 and then looks it over and then sends it over to Jill and then she's got to hold it for 24 hours and blah, blah, blah. Like you're able to take all of that interaction that delays things and it gets right to the point and keeps it just as safe and just as secure. But now you're able to facilitate it with other instruments 24/7 on a whim whenever you want to. And that's what it does.
You know what? That kind of scares me. And the only reason it doesn't scare me, the technology. It's not the technology. It's just like, all these people that we're talking about who work for these different companies. What's going to happen to the masses when they don't have jobs anymore? That's going to be very interesting.
Well, it's like anything. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, by any means. And my family, both my parents were physical laborers their entire life. So, but that's like saying, okay, well, look how many people you needed to run a farm back in the early 1900s with a horse and plow. Right. And then a tractor comes along and you took away all that help that you no longer need, but you're able to produce that much more food. You're able to make that much more
That's
money.
right.
You're able to feed that much more people. So is that greater good better for humanity than the job? Like, I don't know. It's not, a comparative thing. But all I'm saying is life has always, same thing with the assembly line with cars.
Right.
Right? Machines came in and replaced human labor and they were more efficient and cheaper. And then that allows the companies and the factories to pass on and make cars cheaper for you. And, that's kind of how it works. So,
yes.
not to say, oh, boo-hoo to anybody by any means, but I mean, life evolves, and there's always jobs that they can do and something up and coming too, which like me, take for example, I was a real estate broker for almost 20 years, but I know what's coming to real estate. I know what's coming towards the realtor and how it's going to change for us in the next coming years.
Right.
So I made a shift in my priorities in life, and I learned a whole new space and became an expert on an entirely new space, preparing myself for that. I mean, yeah, part of it was because I was absolutely fascinated by it, and I have a passion for it, so that absolutely helps. Don't get me wrong. But regardless, I knew what was coming, and, I don't know what to tell you. It's always better to be prepared than it is to let someone swipe you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm loving it.
I'm not here to play a moral card on anything. It's just,
no, but you know what? Like, it kind of makes sense, like you say, with the farms and with the horse-drawn buggies, whatever. How things, we figure it out. Especially here in the U.S. Especially here in the U.S., man. People here are very, very smart. They come up with something. So yeah, but it just.
And there's also people on TikTok who do nothing but sit there and make thousands of dollars a day. So.
Isn't that crazy?
Life has also gotten easier for people who don't deserve it either. So
yes, so true, so true. Hey, what do you think about the lawsuit that XRP just won over the SEC? What's your thoughts?
I went over that on my other podcast last week. It's a win and it's a lose. Not a win and a lose, but it's not. Like the XRP army is completely like, oh, we won. This is the end all be all. You did win, but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
So what it basically says is, you're free as a retail investor, as a regular person like you and me, Joe Schmo. We have the clearance to be able to trade Ripple on exchanges and make money doing it. We're able to trade it, and it's all good. It's tradable. But what they also said, from my understanding, is that if you're an institutional investor, you can't invest in it. Whereas Ripple can't be used, like there can't be a company that says we're coming out as a cryptocurrency company as an ICO, which is initial coin offering, instead of an IPO, initial public offering. With the stock market in the crypto world, it's called an ICO, initial coin offering. You can't go out and come up with a company and say, we're starting out as a new crypto company and we're taking funds to fund us in Ripple. Can't do that.
No, I saw
it has to be just tradable through regular retail people. Investors can't.
Right.
So, or I should say they can, but it's looked at as a security. And it's not looked at as a digital asset. So now you're talking about an entire different tax bracket and entirely different disclosures that need to be presented. So
okay.
As usual, if you're already trading it, basically.
Yeah. I was oh, by the way, a little disclaimer, did not give a disclaimer earlier. What we do is provide educational and entertainment value to everyone watching this. We're in no way telling you to go buy this, go buy that. This is not about trading at this show. We want to just give you basic information that you can learn for your family and educate you as much as we possibly can. Taking that and moving on, I just who Kathy Wood is, correct?
Yep. ARK Investments.
My God, did you see she put out an estimate on what she thought Bitcoin and crypto would be in 2030.
What'd she say?
She said Bitcoin would be over 1 million and Ethereum would be over around 180,000 per. I was like, "Are you serious?" I don't
know about Ethereum, whatever, but Bitcoin. I mean, so take the cap of Bitcoin that will ever be created, which is 21 million,
right?
And divide it by all the money that exists in the world right now. What's that equal to?
Ooh, whole lot.
It's like 7 million a Bitcoin or something like that.
My God. Oh my God.
I mean, so if you're saying that's the ultimate store of value, and it's going to be the ultimate store of value, and there's only that's like saying we're back 1,000 years ago, and gold is like the predominant store of value. Like every king's goal is to have as much gold as possible, except there's only 21 million bars of gold in the entire world. Think about that.
Man, that's amazing, man. It's going to be, man.
So I'm saying it doesn't hurt to like maybe buy a little bit and just hold, like, you know. Yeah,
why not? Why would you not?
Why, like, your risk reward on this one's pretty good on your reward, you know, over the risk. So anyways, we gotta go, man. The show's I think done. Yeah. 30. Okay.
All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining us, and look for us in 2 weeks. We'll be back with the Crypto and Cash podcast. Make sure that you have any questions. If you want to learn and have a great realtor to help you out, contact Bret Jenny. Hey, Bret, give me your contact information.
702-628-3476, or on Instagram, Vegas Crypto Agent, or my website, bretjenny.com. Pretty easy, bretjenny.com.
Absolutely. This is Uncle Dan, Uncle Dan Consulting. My website is uncledanconsulting.com. And you can always reach me there. Just go ahead and reach out. Hey, thanks for attending and listening to our show this week. And we'll have something for you coming up soon. Talk to you later, Bret.
Talk to you later, Dan. Thanks, everyone.